Hey, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast. I've got another great episode for you. This is in our series of our 100th podcast episode. I put together two really good ones. I've got Brendan Holt and Amanda VK. Look, Brendan, he made me really stumble. If you've listened to this episode, but if you haven't, you're in for a treat. He really made me stumble with his answer. His answer around chicken McNuggets is brilliant. So if you haven't listened to this episode, you're in for a treat, and it really will help you think totally different about your marketing and how you treat your customers. And then Amanda VK probably asked one of the best marketing questions you'll hear someone say. And I guarantee you, if you take the time to do what Amanda says to do, and how we brainstorm this in this episode, to answer these questions, specifically the first one she gives, you're going to grow a better business, and you're going to have better customers, and you're actually going to execute your business in a way that's going to set yourself up to win. So I really look forward to hearing from you about these two interviews, and really, look, these people are experts when it comes to their businesses. Brendan, video marketing, Amanda VK, and branding. So look, take the time to listen, write some notes, and then, hey, tag me in what your thoughts are. Tag me in on LinkedIn and let me know what you learned from this episode. All right, enjoy. And as always, please share these episodes. They really mean a lot. We just actually recently hit number 1 again in the charts. So please share these episodes, and I look forward to seeing you really, really soon. Have fun, take care, and as always, celebrate your victories. Brendan Holt, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Let's go.
Mate, so good to have you back. Got one question for you. This is part of our 100th episode. What is your best business advice?
Give 7 chicken nuggets.
What?
Yeah. You know when you buy 6 chicken nuggets?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, cool, I got what I paid for.
Yeah.
If they just slip in a 7th, you're stoked.
Oh, yeah. My son would be super stoked if that happened.
Yeah. But then if you got 5 chicken nuggets, you're real disappointed. So give your clients 7 chicken nuggets.
Give your clients 7 chicken nuggets. Give me some examples of that, because that is actually brilliant advice straight off the bat.
I think ultimately giving more than what they expect.
Yeah.
Even if it's down to simply showing up on time or earlier, you're giving them more than what they expect.
Yeah, and that's such a simple thing, and it's often overlooked, right? People, turn up early. Give someone a nice coffee cup, do those little things that matter. And one thing I noticed, and this is we're on a photo shoot with you, and you started sweeping the area around when we were shooting with Novus, and I thought, here's a guy who does the extras. And it's those little things that people notice that go, he's good,
Yeah, I mean, I've always been conscious of how much to give, what can you make it better?
Yeah.
Even over and above what you're getting paid for.
Yeah, totally.
I think there's so much value in that.
Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate. Man, times are tough. Geez, I can't be giving 7 chicken nuggets. I can barely give you 5. I can barely give you 6. What do you say to that kind of person who's going, well, it's easy for you to say, but it's hard for me to do?
Oh, man, it doesn't have to be financial. It even can just be an amazing email sending thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah. Giving back that, we're all consumers at the end of the day, and we're all stoked if we just get that little bit more, like a smiling person that hands you the coffee, they've given you more than what you paid for. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a good one too, just like that little extra bit. Maybe it's the smile. I think Jason Gunn says it great. He always goes on about, he's makes someone's day, and like shouting them a coffee, the person behind you and stuff like that. It costs nothing to become part of someone's day, and I think it's a real mindset. Well, give me some examples of where you've done that for people that you've dealt with and the impact that's made.
One example that comes to mind is as my DJing role. I might not be always playing music on the deck. It's always going or happening and all that sort of thing. But during the day, there might be somebody like grandma. It might be a cold day, and we're like, oh, well, she doesn't know where blankets are, but I do. I'll go get her a blanket. You're giving them more than what they're paying for. So they paid me for a DJ, but I'm actually looking out for people. Yeah, it didn't cost me anything.
Do you think that's something that you've learnt over time? Is that something that ingrained growing up? You learnt to give a little bit more because someone else did that for you?
I've never actually stopped to think about it, to be honest.
I guarantee someone in your life has done extra for you.
Yeah, well, Dad's pretty... Yeah. Dad always goes the extra mile, like...
Yeah. And it's rubbed off, right?
I think it must have,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. I was thinking hard when you asked me about the top business advice.
Yeah.
I was thinking, what would I tell myself back in the day? Like, and I think, like, just be that guy that gives a little bit more. Because
it's a small hinge that can swing a massive door, right? Small hinges swing big doors. This is a small hinge. Anyone can do, you know, but most people won't. You know, it takes a thinking and a mindset and a want to give of service to actually go and do that sort of stuff. But I tell you what, when you do it, it opens up doors, you know, because that lady, the lady was just, oh, you know, Brennan, he's a nice boy, and they'll be talking about such and such, and he bought me over, what was it, a blanket, and then such and such will say, oh yeah, and he played great music, and this and this and this and this, and it all just adds up. The little things just add up. I know. I learned how to be reasonably good at hospitality and you know, being curious from my nana. My nana was really good at hospitality. She worked in hospitality, but she always had people around her house. And I kind of learned how to engage with people. And I think that's something I learned that I've now transferred into my business life and even in, you know, just normal day to day. It's amazing what you pick up that you don't probably understand where you got it from. Okay, I'll be greedy because that's what I do on this podcast, especially this 100th one. What is one piece of good advice? Doesn't have to be your best. Well, it can be if you want.
Okay, I'll try my best.
When it comes to video in 2024.
My best piece of advice for 2024: just do it.
Just do it.
Get amongst it.
What do you mean by that? Because what do you say to? Well, I'll call him John because he knows I'm talking about
John,
him.
Yeah.
What is John? How do you help John when he's never done video before and he's a little bit nervous, and you just say go on and do it, and you're easy for you because you're a videographer and all this sort of stuff? What do you say to John who's really nervous, maybe a little bit older, wants to get out there, wants to step into it? What are some of the things he could do to step into getting good at video? Because I know just do it is actually probably the right answer.
Yeah, but it's easier said than done.
It's easier said than done, right? Because, you know, I was talking to Paul Wright before, and he talked about the 20 seconds of courage. He learned it from Gilbert Anoka. You know, find ways you can have 20 seconds of courage.
Okay.
And that was about, so if someone asked people if they had any questions, be the person to put up your hand and ask that question.
Oh, yeah.
Because no one else is asking the question, but everyone wants to ask the question. Be the person that stands up and gives the feedback, because everyone else wants to give feedback, but no one's prepared to stand up and do it, you know? So there's finding those 20-second moments of courage, I think, can help John.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, I think even just practicing in your room or something like that, just talking to your phone, getting your words out, recording it, listening. You don't even have to listen back, just knowing that you're being recorded.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's content that you can get practice, like anything, if the more you do it, the better you get at it, right? No matter what it is. Apart from golf.
Yeah. You have to play. You have to play a lot.
Yeah, I'm not scared of that.
No. I showed something to my team the other day. It was a video that I shot it was about 11, 12 years ago. It was in my really small office. The office would have been about the size of this table. And I shot a video talking about the state of the internet and how the internet was going to take over. And there were some things in the video that you know, when I talked about e-commerce and how people would be not shopping in a physical shop, they'd be shopping online. And it was funny, like, seeing back how bad that video was. But I think you've got to go through the bad ones to get to the good ones. And I've actually showed a few more people those videos that I created, you know, 11, 12 years ago, because I think they need to see, you know, you come across as confident and all that sort of stuff. Now, when a lady said to me the other day, I'm very confident, I said, yeah, but I've been doing this a long time, and I'm prepared to just give it a go because I know what's on the other side. On the other side of this is business, right? Is being able to communicate with people, be able to help people. So, yeah, I think, you know, it's a great tip. Just get in your room, and turn the camera on.
Just try it.
Yeah, and they don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have to go anywhere. They can just be there. And
we are our own worst critic too. You know, like, you know, maybe record a couple
Yeah.
And then be like, oh, that wasn't actually too bad a take. And then perhaps show one of your trusted peers.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've learned with humans as well is they do worry about what other people think of them. And the more I've dealt with highly successful people, they don't really care so much what other people think of them. They care about what their close family and the people that they care about think of them, but they're not worrying about what other people are thinking about them, because most of the times those other people aren't thinking about them. They're thinking about themselves, and so they just get on with what they're getting on with, and they realise they know who they help, which is the big one. That would
be the other thing for content for if you're recording, isn't it? Like you're trying to help your clients, your customers. From the heart stuff, you're trying to help them. So just any type of knowledge, something that you're trying to help them. Nothing bad can come from that, right?
No, and I think that's what John needs to keep in mind. John needs to keep in mind that he's actually putting out content that can help people and actually add value to people's day. And if he doesn't share it, someone else is going to, and someone else, their advice might not be as good as John's. So being able to step out there and share is a real, it does take, a bit of confidence to do it. But hey, on the other side of that, there's another world opens up to you when it comes to video.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Mate, that's great advice. You definitely stumbled me there. What are you talking about chicken nuggets? But it was good advice. So here's the thing. You're listening to the podcast. You're going, right, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I think you should do. You should get out a piece of paper today and write where some of those small things where you could give 7 chicken McNuggets versus just 6. Like find an area in your business where you can give more. Give more than you receive. And trust me, I know this because I got told I needed to do this in 2004 by a guy called Brett McFall. I was at the World Internet Summit. He said to me, I said, how do I leave the corporate world? He says, go start sharing what you know about marketing for free. I thought he was a bit stupid when he first said it, but I'm living proof that it works. So go and give more, give away some chicken McNuggets. And
people love chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets. I love chicken. I love chicken wings.
Oh, man.
Seriously. So go and do that. Hey, one more thing you need to do is you need to share this podcast. We've had 100 episodes. You'll be enjoying the content on this podcast. So once you've taken your notes, go and share the podcast. Share a podcast. Tag someone who needs to listen to this podcast, because this podcast has got so much good information. I'm learning stuff just from listening and interviewing these guys and girls. So please do me a favour, share the podcast. All right, Brendan, thanks for your time. Appreciate it as always.
So good. Well done. Congratulations. That's so cool.
Yeah, awesome. All right, here's the 200. Take care.
Let's go. Cheers.
Amanda VK, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thank you for having me back.
Seriously, this is our 100th episode, so this is getting released. I'm asking people one question. What's your best business advice?
So I think the first thing that came to mind when you asked me that question before I came along was about knowing what you aren't is as important as knowing what you are.
Brilliant.
So a lot of people focus on what they are and the positive outcomes, but they don't look at the other side of it and figure out what it is that they actually don't want.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is it's the best tip that I can give you for staying focused in your business.
Nice.
Usually the easiest thing that it is to articulate.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when we give them feedback for branding, for example, we say, well, what is it that you don't like about what we've presented?
Nice.
And then they can find the words and we can hone in what we need to do. And then we go, well, now I understand what you do like as much as what you don't like. It also resonates with people better.
Yeah.
So
it's more natural, funnily enough, for people to go what they don't like, eh?
Exactly, yeah. And we're told not to be negative.
Yeah.
But it isn't a negative spin. It's really just another way of looking at the same coin, the other side of the coin. Most people do find it better to make decisions as well. So when you can't, I think for hiring, like when you can't put your finger on what is good about that person, or what is, they're good enough, or that their client is good enough. But when you actually can break down what it is that you don't want, then you can actually also articulate why they might have been a good fit, but they're not quite a good fit, and you can, I guess, verbalize what it is that you can make a better decision around.
I really like it. So the question is, what is it what was the question? Like, what aren't you?
So it's knowing what you're not.
Well, knowing what you're not. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also, helps you with your things like your target market and all your branding as well. So
I can imagine how much clearer you could just get if you just wrote down what you're not.
Exactly.
And I'm starting to. That's why I was kind of fumbling. My brain is going. My brain's going a million miles an hour. How much that would help, in the whole process, knowing what you're not. Okay, just tell me what you're not, and people will just rattle that off, and then you can look at the flip side and they're okay. So you were this, and then you could hone that to know. Okay, yeah, and you get closer and closer and closer. Because if I asked you, well, what are you and who are you and stuff, and people will just they do go a wee bit blank, right? But
they do, or they get fumbly with their words, or they get wishy-washy, or, we get somebody that really focuses on what they do want. But then they, instead of sort of shutting up, they then go, oh, but we also do this and we do that. And then everything all of a sudden just gets diluted and you feel the energy just leaves the room for a start.
Yeah.
But then when we sort of flip that question around and say, okay, well, what are you not? It's a bit like you. You sort of get that, nobody's ever asked me that before.
Asked me that, yeah.
And then, that usually gets an entirely different conversation
going.
And it's usually the gems that we get out of that are as valuable as those initial first thoughts that we get when somebody comes to us with a problem that they need solved.
So good. It's great advice. So if someone was like, okay, well, what's the thing that they need to do next? Like they're writing the list of what they're not, and what should they do next when they're going through this exercise?
I think it's just as important to have that in front of them. So it's actually quite an empowering process to go through as well. So the next step would be to look at the why. So we often say the Simon Sinek start with why. But we can start with the why on that list as well. So, why do you want to have those goals? Why do you want to achieve those things? And conversely, why do you not want to attract that type of customer? Or what outcomes are you actually trying to avoid that just helps you steer that path to a little bit more focus?
It's interesting. I'm thinking of a client, or not a client, a prospect that I went to see the other day, and I can imagine if he'd thought about what he's not, he wouldn't be doing some of the marketing that he was doing, because he was doing some really strange marketing. I asked him about it, and I asked him why. When I asked him who his ideal target market was, it was more high end, but his marketing was doing very low end. And I was like, why are you doing the low end when your client, the client that you want is up here or over there? And he goes, I don't know what else to do. And if he just asked that question, what am I not, and he would have got a lot clearer. I'm going to go back to him and ask him that question, by the way. So
well, and I was like that in your industry as well. We talk about positive keywords and negative keywords, and that's just something that you do as by the by. But to really go, well, let's make it very clear who we're not attracting.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much easier to then have a more robust conversation with your client, so that when they do start drifting off to the side, you can go, hang on a minute, remember we talked about those things that you don't want? Well, this is now going to take you down that path, or it's muddying the waters. So let's pop that aside, and it pulls them up, and then they go, oh, okay. And then we can have a more focused conversation about what they do want, and get back to that productive side of managing their marketing and getting them clear about what it is what they want to do.
This is some gold from a branding expert. Seriously, if I was you, I'd take some time today, get out your piece of paper and write some things about what you're not. What are you not? And when you look at who you are and what you do, what is the complete opposite, and what you are not. Look, one thing we're not is we don't build websites. And we do not. We look for partners. We found you guys. You would do probably 80% of all the website work that we have now. And for me, that is a breath of fresh air, because we're not in that space. We're good at what we are good at, but we're not. And then we find someone like yourselves, and you guys are just good at that. That was a good thing for us. We know what we're not good at.
And I think it's actually bullet point number 4 that I had was about being able to use that to build better partnerships with other businesses as well. So the words that I guess I hate people uttering are one-stop shop.
Yeah.
That's a brand nightmare. And also a full-service agency.
Yes.
Because I think that to be more focused in what you do need to build partnerships with digital influence. Whenever we finish a branding exercise or a website, we love giving you a toolkit to take away, because then your guys take it and run with it. And we're like, gosh, we would never have done that, because we're not specialists in social media and digital advertising.
Yeah.
It's just a...
Yeah, and I think that collaboration part of it really, really works, right? And that's the key to especially when you want the best results for people, for your clients. I think that's where collaboration really, really does work. When you've got two parties that want the best result for the client versus someone trying to hold on to everything and doing maybe a 70% job.
Well, and that's what makes, I'm going to say the word greedy, but it is, because even though you could probably deliver it, you'd do it half-assed, I like to say but half-assed. It'll take longer than it needs to, and it wouldn't have as good a result or an outcome as if you just handed it off to somebody that knows exactly what it is that they need to do with it to do their part of the job.
So good. Now, okay, speaking of being greedy, I'm going to be greedy. What have you got any other advice?
Goodness, you're lucky that I got one.
Hey, look, you've been in business a long time. You've been through the ups, the downs, and you've seen it. And I guess, that's the thing. I love talking to business owners that have experience. And I think the more you can, as a person listening, the more you can lean into someone with experience. What Amanda taught you today around that exercise is something that will give you a lot of clarity. And I think that's what business owners need right now. So,
stay the path, I guess, was the other thing too, is with that, I guess on the back of that is the temptation to be everything to everybody because you don't want to pass up a sale, especially in tight times. But it's actually these times that you do need to just stay focused, and when you say no to something, it gives you the confidence and the empowerment to stay the course with what it is that you want to do in your business. And then those gaps, you're leaving space for the good clients by saying no or respectively passing them on to somebody else. Yeah, because you'll fill that vacuum for sure, and that's part of knowing what you're not, what you are for. Because you stay in your lane, you end up doing really good business for people that you want to do business for, and sometimes you just have to be patient. Like we're talking to a reasonably big company yesterday, and I know we got looked over 6 months ago. But they've now come back because kind of what I said would play out has played out, and I didn't want to push that hard and be hey I told you so, but I said hey things, we know things people do overpromise in our industry, and we've just kept adding value to the conversation, and all of a sudden they've come back in and gone okay. And so you just have to, and you get that from experience, and you learn, right? But look, I really appreciate you coming on. Straight away, you've given me some things to think about. So if I've got things to think about, you've got things to think about. One thing I need you to do is share this podcast. Who needs to hear what Amanda said today? It's her business advice. She's been in business for a long time, grown her brand company, doing websites and that for a lot of different businesses and helping them grow. So please share this podcast. Share it with people. Share it with a business owner that needs to hear this advice, and the world will be a better place for it. So, Amanda, thanks for coming back. Thank you very much for having me. I've appreciated it.
Awesome.
Great
Okay,
to be here.
Go out there, take action, and have some fun, and we'll talk to you really soon.